Let me turn on my participants list. Welcome everyone to the this meeting of the Examination Subcommittee of the Committee of Bar Examiners of the California State Bar. First, Kim Wong, will you take the roll?
Sure. Anjali Agapta.
Here.
James Afting.
Present.
Esther Lynn.
Here.
Vince Reyes.
Here.
Judge Toriaba.
Here.
Okay, great. And then Mr. Chair, Paul Kramer.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Yeah, sorry folks, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Paul Kramer, the chair of the committee, the subcommittee rather. The next item on our agenda is public comment. I see we have 3 attendees and 2 of them have raised their hands, presumably indicating that they wish to make a public comment. For the remaining person, if you wish to make a public comment, you can press the raised hand button on your Zoom interface, or I don't think you're on the telephone, but if you were, you would press *9. So having only 2 public commenters, but knowing that the subcommittee has a lot of business today to talk about testing accommodation appeals, I'm going to limit each of you to 4 minutes. And if we get more commenters coming in, we're going to limit our total time to 15 minutes. Kim Wong will keep the time, and she'll call out when you have 30 seconds left, and then again when your time expires. So our first commenter will be Jackie N. Devin, if you can make her active, go ahead, please.
Yes. Hi, can you hear me okay?
We can, thank you.
Thank you. I don't really have anything prepared, to be honest. I kind of saw this last minute while I was checking to see whether or not my application had been approved or denied for accommodations. I did wait until the deadline in July because I had been waiting to see what would be required since I'm not allowed to test in person. And regarding appeals, it just seems really frustrating and strange to me that I'm kind of stuck in the middle here. I submitted everything timely. The date for appeals has now passed. On Tuesday, we have to decide whether or not we can take this exam. And if we decide not to, that's the last day that we can get a refund. If I don't get accommodations to test remotely, I can't take the exam. So everyone's been updating your fact sheet regarding highlighting, regarding restroom breaks, regarding everything, but it's still not clear whether or not, even if double time requested, will be allowed to take it remotely. It's said kind of that it maybe might be able to, but it's not clear. If you guys can please just keep us informed when it's updated. We get emails all the time about signing waivers, but I have not received one email regarding, hey, we've updated the accommodations portion of this fact sheet. There are people with serious issues that can't test in person. I'm just asking for some transparency and some openness. I have left voicemails for Suzanne Clyde, who was actually very helpful for me in July, and I'm so grateful. But I understand you guys are busy. She's probably a week behind on her calls, but that leaves us with no amount of resources to figure out what is happening. And just on a side note, that does not apply to me, because I think I would be able to sign the waiver saying I can stay in camera and not use the restroom. I think it is inhumane for any amount of time, extra time beyond the hour, to require people to not be able to use the restroom in an emergency. So I just ask for that consideration. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. If our next commenter is James Aguirre.
Yes, hello. Oh, I'm hoping that you can hear me.
We can, thanks.
Good, thank you. I have spoken before, and I've worked with several of you before when I was on the board and when I was on the Committee of Bar Examiners. So I'll skip the introductions for now. Obviously, you know of my interest in what's been going on with the bar exam, and I realize that you are working with circumstances that no other person has had to deal with before. However, that being said, I feel that I need to voice some deep concerns because the nature of both trying to maintain the same format and structure and grading formula for this exam has come at the cost of the applicants remaining in the dark and getting precious little in the way of accommodation to the current circumstances under COVID-19. And by that I mean that we've taken essentially the same exam that I've been working with since I was a grader starting in 1979 through the present day, and trying to shoehorn it into a remote last minute presentation of the exam. The insult to injury was the whole waiver process. I inquired about that because the waiver is something that was both untimely in the sense of presenting a major consideration to applicants so late that there was no meaningful choice for them to make. And at the same time, the response that I got back about the waiver was that there wasn't any public commenting on it, no public input into the application waiver process because they said they had done waivers before. Well, several of you have worked with the waivers that we've used in the past, and so have I over the many years. They were nothing like what you're using this time. Both the waiver itself and the nature of the timing and the pressure on the applicants to execute what is essentially the broadest waiver I've ever seen in 40 years of practice. That's just unreasonable and probably unconstitutional. So I'll leave it at that. In terms of the accommodations, I'm still extremely concerned that accommodations are minimal at best. In other words, there is so much restriction on what types of accommodations can be made under the remote formula and the attempt to maintain security beyond what's even reasonably necessary. The movement restrictions, the restrictions on the bathroom access and other types of necessities that might arise in the exam. I can give you one example that happens in the live setting all the time. And we
have 30 seconds remaining.
Okay, I think I'm the last speaker, but someone has to go to the bathroom because all of a sudden they become nauseous and need to throw up. You want them to stop, look in the camera, make some kind of a cogent expression, which may or may not be accepted, and as soon as they leave the room, they will have failed that exam. If they have, out of nervousness, an irritable bladder that morning that makes them have to run to the bathroom, they have failed the exam. If they're diabetic like me and have frequent urination because that's the body's natural way of clearing out the blood sugar, they have failed the exam. So I have many, many concerns. They were needless, and we'll be able to air it probably at a future date. Unfortunately, of little help to these applicants, but at least please give the applicants who asked for their waivers their decisions. And please consider what I heard about the grading process in the last hearing. Sounds like you're looking at January results. And that's because the grading process of years past is going to be used, which you can't use in this time frame. So thank you for hearing me. I, again, appreciate all of your dedication and working in a situation that no one's ever seen before. So I understand that. And I hope that you don't take this as a personal criticism to you. It's more criticism of the process as it's evolved. So thank you very much. And I hope everything goes better than I predicted.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have no further requests to make a public comment. So we will move forward on our agenda. And that means we're going to go into a closed session. We will return to this open meeting at the end of the closed session, and we will not have any decisions to announce, but we'll simply indicate that the closed session has adjourned, and then we'll adjourn this public portion of the meeting. You're welcome to monitor this Zoom meeting, which we will keep open until we return from the closed session. But again, we're just going to say basically goodbye at the end. It's to meet the requirements of the open meetings laws. Committee members, please leave this meeting and join us in the closed session. You should have, does everyone have that link? I guess they do. At about 1:28, and we are back here in the open session Zoom meeting simply to report that we are done, and I will therefore adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone. Just note that we have another meeting scheduled, or we will, on September 16. Basically the same format, and we will be considering more testing accommodation appeals at that meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.